and welcome to another episode of the Complete Agent podcast, where each week we get together to talk all things estate agency. My name is David Warburton. As ever, I'm joined by my colleagues Ian Story and James Kendall. Lads, how's your week been? We'll go to you, Ian Story.
Good morning, gents. Felt like I was being interviewed by David Dimbleby there. David, you're really getting very good at this. So, on the whole, positive. We've had some superb listings this week. I went to 2 on Wednesday, both over 1.5. Got them both straight away, and they didn't have any other agents out. They'd only called us because of what they see us do in the area, which is brilliant, both on full fees. We have had offers on a couple yesterday, actually, that had both been sticking for quite a while. And I was just saying to JK before we came on that it really feels like, it feels like a bit more positivity than there was to me. Just generally, it feels like stuff's bubbling away, and I think we're going to have a good run in on sales in the third quarter of the year, I feel. Hopefully the interest rate, maybe that's starting to take effect, and that will only get stronger. Obviously, still summer holidays for kids, so it'll be 3-4 weeks before I think we see anything serious, but feels good. Phil's had a good couple of offers on ones as well that he's been to, that he's taken on. We have lost a couple. We've had 2 fall through, both of which, in fact, no, we had 2 fall through, one of which is sticking with us. This is they've been on the market with us so long. They're such a lovely old couple, and I'm so disappointed for them. But anyway, they're sticking with us. The other one has taken it off the market with us, giving it to another agent. And we've actually lost 2. We've actually had 2 disinstructors in the last week, which is very unlike us. And it's really, really definitely hurts me personally when it happens, because of how much I love what we do and how hard the team work. One of them that we lost, basically I dealt with him all along. The house is in his name only, not hers. And I dealt with him all along. He was dead sound about things, understood it was quite a unique house. The pound per square foot seemed right, but there was unique elements that made it not for everyone. And he was happy that it would take a bit longer to sell than maybe other properties locally. And then suddenly she waded in back end of last week and disinstructed us. So I tried to save it, but I say to the team, look, as long as we try to save it, if you can't, you take it off immediately. I want it off Rightmove that day, boards down, we put it behind us and we move on to the next one. And then the other one disinstructed us. Basically, we'd agreed a sale on it. Also not easy to sell. It was listed property. And then it came to light that the field behind has got an overage clause on it. Obviously, they're expecting to be able to build on it at some point. We didn't know that. The owner didn't know that. The buyer obviously didn't know that. And we did our best to save it. And they've disinstructed us. So I was speaking to Phil yesterday because it was one of his, to say, look, you've got to try and save it, Phil. But ultimately, if you can't, then you just have to write it off and move on. They've been very highly strung, this couple all along. And it's not massively in our core area as well. So doesn't hurt quite as much, but nevertheless, it does hurt when that happens. And I always say to the team, as long as you've tried to save it and you can't, then you just move on, get it off Rightmove and move on straight away. So, overall things are very good. The pipeline is very good. Listed stock on the board's very good. Things are going really well, but that just makes you realise that you're not invincible and that sort of it's real estate agency, I suppose, Dave.
Yeah, well, we were saying before, weren't we? I'm glad you shared it because, as you say, it's real. It happens. Everybody sees the great fees, the great houses, and the hard work that you're putting in, and the praise that you're receiving. But it's not all rosy. You get these, and I think it's testament to your experience. You've obviously done this for a long time. It does hurt. It doesn't matter who it is, and you'll have those infuriating moments where you just disagree with the client completely, and you've done everything you possibly can. But you just develop these thick layers of skin, don't you, over the years? Yeah. So I'm glad you've shared it, because for some people listening, it can really get you down. And all 3 of us have had runs quite recently where, stuff's fallen. We've had tougher times. Sales have not been quite where they should be, and there's a lot of vendor management. So I think it's inevitable that you're going to lose stuff. Back in my corporate days, we used to factor in like a 20% withdrawal rate. I mean, that's high, obviously, very high. But they did it for a reason across the board, because some offices will be stronger than others. It's just that we're quite strong at retention, aren't we? But some offices won't do it as well. So they factored it into the business plan, so they knew that 20% of their listings would probably withdraw and go on with other agents.
Yeah.
And the reality is, they're never going to get as good service, as good a marketing, but it may well go on to sell with somebody else.
Yeah.
It's just the industry we're in. You've got to accept it and move on. We've all been there, and we'll continue to go there. Unfortunately, it does happen.
Yeah. All I want to make sure though is that because when we take stock off other agents, and of course it happens more that way round, so many agents are really slow at taking properties off Rightmove when the clients ask them to. And I just think that for that agent, that's damaging to your. It's not good for your mental health. I don't think. If someone doesn't want to work with you, then get rid of him, take it off, and move on.
There's an agent near us, and it's just so infuriating. They're massively overvaluing everything they go out to. And then obviously when you're delivering the data and stuff, you're up against it straight away because they've got an opinion from somebody that's quite well established, by the way, very well established agent. Just massively overvaluing absolutely everything. And then when I go out to a lot of their stuff, and they're all locked in for 6 months. And I say exactly the same thing. They're 2-3 months into a relationship with the agent and the agent with the client. The property's not moving, and the relationship's gone. They don't want to be with them anymore. But they say, "Well, no, you're locked in for 6 months. Why? Why? Yeah. Just let it go." It's so weird. Yeah, really poor. But we do get that, and that's why we do the 0 weeks, don't we?
Yeah, but also it's about being gracious in defeat, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Hold your head up high. They want to go, that's fine, mate. See you later. And I'm going to move on to this person down the road who wants to work with me. Bye-bye.
Exactly that. JK, how's your week been?
Yeah, to be fair, guys.
Okay,
as I said, brilliant. As I was off air, I'm just saying that obviously I've had a bad run recently for the last 4 weeks. But there's lots to be positive about. We've got lots on the market at the moment, about 47 houses on the market. Our average fee around 10 grand. We've got about 17 on the board to come on in photography. So all good, pretty good all round, and much more positive spin.
Good, mate. Good. A bit quieter on the valuation front. Been some good ones, though. The ones that I have been to. I've actually been to 4 vals this week, so it's been quite quiet. But as I think I said last week, it's been quite welcomed, given the run that we've had and what we've got to come, because we've got 15 in photography, and the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be absolutely mental. So been to 3 great take-ons this week. One where the gold is in, 550. One at 1.6 million, one at 900,000, all great fees. So that's been really nice. Those are 3 take-ons. As I say, we've got 15 in photography. Of the 4 evaluations, 3 of them are all coming on the market, which is nice. The other one's just on holiday and making decisions when they're back. Had a couple of good offers this week. One in particular, I mean, we talked last week about patience, didn't we? And we're going to get into that a little bit. But there is one particular property that we've had, and it's massively out of my area, to be honest with you, but we were asked to take it on, and we did, because it's a beautiful house, and it's literally had 1 viewing, and the 1 viewer has bought it. So they've had like 5 weeks of nothing, absolutely nothing, and just vendor management. We get 1 person through the door, and they've bought it. And I always say this to clients, for anybody listening, we've talked about pricing. When you do your pricing, it's not you valuing the property; it's the data valuing the property. And you've got to get this into your report. Make sure that you back yourself up, and make sure that your report shows where you've got your numbers from, and talks about how the market values your home, not you. And it's all about how you market it and how you're going to negotiate the best offer once we've got somebody on the hook. And this played out exactly that way. It had been on at a ridiculous level with another agent for quite a long time. We've taken it on at a more sensible level, but it did require a reduction after the 6-week period because it wasn't getting anything at all. It's a very, very unique home. Brilliant house, absolutely beautiful house, but very, very unique. Hadn't had anything for 6 weeks with us, but we'd obviously managed the vendor well. We had a frank conversation a couple of weeks ago and said, I think you need to drop 50 off this, bring it down to 850. Anyway, 1 viewer sold. First week of the reduction. So I think it's just that, like you say, that patience thing, setting it up nicely with the owner so that they know that they've got it all in the report. It says this is what the market's doing. You've already told them that we can't control the market conditions. And I always say it, a vendor doesn't know what they'll accept until they get an offer, because where they wanted to be was quite a bit higher than what they've actually accepted. So it's just about managing the client and being honest. I've also had another one, guys. It was a bit of so frustrating, and just another demonstration of how broken our conveyancing process is. We had this. We've got this property, and it's we've sold the house of the people that are buying it, and everything was ready in May. Everything. So the conveyancing process was complete, and the mortgage had been offered. It was with the Nationwide, so the mortgage had been offered. And as with a lot of cases, this is what frustrates me on the conveyancing process. You've got a junior member of staff just looking at the case all the way through, dealing with the case. It's ready for sign-off. It goes upstairs to the director to have a look at the file, and he says, I'm not happy with something here. I need to report it to the lender. It's literally due to complete this week, on this particular week in May. It goes upstairs to the director. The director says, I'm not quite happy with that. We need to let the lender know. Lender turns around and says, we're retracting our offer until we can get these sorted. 2 months passes by. It can't be sorted. Buyers have had to pull out. Everybody's boxed up and ready to go. And it should have been picked up in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the conveyancing process. It's been missed. It's so infuriating. We've managed to keep it together, obviously, because we've managed it all, but those buyers have pulled out. We're now going to relaunch that other property. We could still sell the seller's property, but the ones that are buying its property, but it's just another example of how broken our conveyancing process is. And, average time at the moment nationally is 154 days for a property to go through, which is it's unacceptable, isn't it? Again, JK, you'll probably remember, but back in the corporate days, you were working on just 10 to 12 weeks, sometimes less.
Yeah.
And you could, it's so easy to manage cash flow and stuff like that, but it's just so sporadic now. You just don't know what you're going to get. Some will go through really quickly. Others will just take an age. Have you had any conveyancing issues?
Me personally, I've had quite a few recently, to be fair. We're getting stuck in the mud with a lot of these deeded variations on more modern builds. And it's just really, really frustrating. The solicitors, who are supposed to be the ones that are dealing with it all, don't seem to pick it up until you're about 8 weeks or 10 weeks into the process. So you front load the issues with the clients, tell them to expect it, get them to order the management pack, tell them that this is going to happen. The solicitor acknowledges it but does nothing with it. You get 10 weeks in, and then they spend 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks going back and forth with the other side. Do we need it? Don't we need it?
Could you tell me what you would say to someone who was sort of on the fence and thinking about joining the complete agent? What would your advice be to them?
It's a no-brainer. Definitely. It would really uplift their business so much. And I think maybe a lot of people that maybe haven't tried this sort of networking before or groups before probably won't realise how much it's going to take their business to the next level.
Don't think this is going to work with JK. Quite clearly, he's on the road this week, guys, and his signal's in and out. So I think we're going to have to discount JK for a little bit, I'm afraid.
Well, it's a part conveyancing issue, part buyer's issue. So we've got this property, really nice property, high end, brilliant. Good fees, all the usual stuff. We only had one viewing on it in 6 weeks, and they offered on it. Really good. This is 10, 12 weeks ago now. Cash buyer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I inverted my fingers and in the sign of a comma when I said cash buyer, for those who are listening. And basically, it turns out they are cash. Part of the money was in Germany, so it's a bit of a nightmare doing the AML, but they are cash. And they were not going to have any extra surveys. Then they are having some extra surveys, and they said that these extra surveys weren't dependent. The sale wasn't dependent on these extra surveys, one of which is a drainage survey. And guess what? Can you guess what's happened? The surveys are now dependent. The sale is now dependent on the surveys. And we are waiting now for Dynarod, who are absolutely awful at getting back to you. We've now been waiting 2 weeks. The buyer's been waiting 2 weeks for this drainage. Everything's ready to exchange. The sellers are waiting for their onward, who are getting pissed off. obviously everyone's getting frustrated. And because the buyer initially said that these reports weren't, the sale wasn't dependent on these reports, they didn't do them immediately. Now all of a sudden they are, and Dynamod aren't getting back to us. And it's just absolute nightmare, absolute nightmare. I don't know, why don't you just be straight with us from the start and just say, look, I want to get a drainage report done. And you say, well, that's fine. Of course you can. It's within your rights. Do it immediately. Do it now. Yeah. Don't wait till right near the end and then tell us you're not going to count it in. It's just so frustrating. And their solicitors really rubbish at getting back to us. Same old problems, really. But it's just a bloody nightmare, isn't it? You think you've got one person here who wants to sell a house, one person here who wants to buy a house. Why is it so difficult?
Oh, it's a broken service. If somebody can fix it, they'll become a billionaire, I think, in England. Yeah. It just frustrates. I don't understand that in America and Australia. They close in like 3-4 weeks, if that.
Yeah.
The Scotland process is so much better. Over here, so poor. They call them fee earners, don't they? And so, listen, it sounds terrible just slagging it off completely, because it's like, there's from bad estate agents, some great estate agents. We do actually work with 2 or 3 brilliant solicitors at the moment, but it's the ones where it's outside of your control.
Yeah.
We've got another one that's been going on for months. It's so straightforward. It's a no chain on either side. But he's going through, one of the buyers is going through a separation. He's waiting for some money to be released. It's all ready, but the solicitor is so slow on the side that we have absolutely no control over whatsoever. It's just dragging and dragging and dragging. And these developers have got loans on their build, and the interest is ridiculous, as I'm sure you can imagine, when it's bridging loans and things like that. So it's just oh god, it's so frustrating. And it's like, I'd love to sit here and sort of have a bit of a conversation about how we can advise people on how to speed it up and do it better. It's just difficult. I mean, I think Pauline and Kate, who are working, who are part of our team, they're the best. They're just on the phone all the time chasing cases. And that's all you can do, isn't it? You're just trying to pull things together, and when something needs, when a vendor or a buyer needs to do something, all you can do is chase it. But ultimately, it's the solicitor that's got to do the work, and so many of them are desperately poor at what they do. It's very, very frustrating. But anyway,
I think in terms of speeding it up, I think if you've got a chain-free house and a chain-free buyer, then then there's definitely a way that it can be sped up. But when there's multiple agents, solicitors, buyers, and sellers involved in the chain, there's no magic pill. Because there's too many moving parts. There's too many things that go wrong. There's too many people that tell you one thing and they mean another. So there is no magic pill when there's a chain. If it's a chain-free property, then it's different. But it's not normally a chain-free property, is it? You get so many cash buyers, don't you, who are cash, but really they are cash, but actually they've got a house to sell at some point as well.
Yeah.
They put that house on the market. Obviously, they want to try and tie it in because they don't want to pay the increased stamp duty and they don't want to move twice. So there is no magic pill to speed it up. You just need someone who's on the ball every week, chasing it and pushing it.
No. The other classic, of course, is, we're cash buyers. No, you're not. You proceed from sale. It's not the same thing. No. It's not the same thing. You do get that. But what I would say is we've had a couple of tricky properties over the last 12 months where, in hindsight, I'd have probably insisted that the owner did things slightly differently. And the older properties where there was one property in particular that fell through about 3 or 4 times. It was such a tough sale and a very, very unique home, but it's gone now. It's completed. And we've had another one on the Resi brand, which is a bit more straightforward, but it's an old property and it's just had a few historical problems. So what I said to him after the first fall through, I just said, look, Steve, you just need to get a survey done on your house. Get the full structural done. Yeah. And then if there's anything that comes up on it, you know what you're dealing with. We can either talk about the type of buyer that needs to buy it if there are genuinely structural issues, or you can start factoring in whether you do want to start thinking about various different things, whether it be underpinning, knocking things down, damp reports, bad roofs, things like that. We can either cost it accordingly, or you can get things done so that you've then got this very saleable house. But the best thing you can do is offer transparency to your buyers. It's like this one now that I've just told you about, the frustrating one where it's fallen through after such a length of time. I've said to them, before we go back to the market, what we need to do now is prepare a sheet that shows everything that's gone on. Let's be completely transparent about why it fell through in the first place. Let's talk to them about the lenders that will lend on this property. There's no point hiding it. It's just going to come up again. And they're obviously fully on board with that. So I think one tip that I would get is if you go into a grade 2 listed property, or a house from the 1800s, or whatever it might be, or the vendor says to you, that was underpinned back in 1995, or whatever it might be, just get a report done.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing at the mid to higher end. It's for the sake of £500-600 for a structural report, just get it done.
Yeah.
And then when somebody comes around and says, "Oh, I'm not happy about that," well, here you go. We've got a full structural survey done here. So hopefully that'll put your mind at rest.
Yeah,
it might just be that way.
Fronting up issues is a good tip. We've got one at the minute where it flooded. Only very minor, and it's not like it's on a flood plain where it's likely to happen again. It was in front of the house. There's a ditch. There's like a drain. And it blocked up because there was no grate. There was no grate to prevent it from blocking up, to stop all the leaves and stuff getting in. Since then, the council have dug it all out and put a grate in and stuff, so it's highly unlikely to happen again. But the house, the lounge, flooded ultimately. It was only a centimetre of water, but it ruined the carpet and it flooded. And they had to claim on their insurance. So, there's no point. You've got to tell a buyer that at the start, haven't you? There's no point trying to get away from it because it'll come up. And if they don't want to buy it, they don't want to buy it. It's not your problem, is it? It's the property problem. He's got five.
No point. This is it, and there's no point playing games. I just get on with it. Just do it. Let's be transparent with everybody. We've got a better chance of selling the house. Totally off piste a little bit here, but another one. I'm going to a house later on today where again it's just a frustrating one that we've marketed really well, and this is an overvaluing story again. I think we talked about obviously people being tied into contracts and stuff. I'm going to one today, doing a viewing, and the person that's rang in about the property, we've had it now for about 3 or 4 months, and the person, it's on at 900 with us. It was on at 950, and basically someone has rang in and said, "Look, I'm very interested in that house at 875. I just want to be really transparent. That is actually my top end budget." And I would be very interested in it. If it's what it looks like on the pictures, I can almost tell you I'll buy it. That's what they've said. So I've had to ring the owners and said, this is what they've said. I don't like I like the transparency, but at the same time, it's a bit of a strategy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and it's a little bit under the number he wants, obviously. And I've just said, look, again, this is about that why that we talked about on the pod a week or two ago, and it's just played out, and that's why I'm sharing it. And I'd said to the history behind it is he'd been on the market with a very, very well-known agent in our area at 1.1 million 2 years ago, and he was on for ages, and the valuation was so far wrong, ridiculous. When I went to see them, it was just before Christmas last year. I went to see them. They'd received a Q1 non-letter, actually, which is nice. But I went to see them, and he said, "What do you honestly think?" And I said, "Michael, you are miles off on the price. It's nothing to do with your house. House is beautiful. The number is absolutely nowhere near. Let me explain." Ran through the data with him, pound per square foot, and the pound per square foot data and everything about the house came out at 850 to 900. And I said, those are your numbers. His wife, Shelley, such a lovely family, lovely couple, was like, oh my God, we cannot take £200,000 less for this house. We put it on at 1.1 million. And it was one of them, like saying, I understand what you're saying, but it's a fictitious price. You're never going to get it. It might as well have been on for 10 million, your house. You'd have had exactly the same result. They want to move. They're having a house built 2 years ago, and it's now nearly ready, and they're going, oh my God, we've not sold our house. 2 years. And I'm like, if you'd been on the market with me 2 years ago, you'd have been out in your rented accommodation now. This house has been built. There'd been absolutely no pressure. And right now you're under pressure. And that's what people do when they overvalue. They play with people's lives. And this guy's rang anyway and said this. I'm going round to see it tonight. And Michael said to me, right, let's do it. If he's serious and he can move fast, I'm happy at 875 from 1.1 million. Wow. So the conversation that we were having last week was, Michael, I get it. It's lower than what you wanted. But if we go back to what we discussed about the pound per square foot and the data that I shared with you, if I'm honest, it's kind of in the ballpark. I would have hoped to get a bit more, but that's where we're at. You've got to decide whether getting out of this house now and having a stress-free life in your brand new build is better for you, or waiting and hoping that I might be able to get you 9 or a little bit above. The choice is yours. Let me know. He said, let me speak to Shelley. Went away, came back, and he said, Dave, get him in. So I'm taking him in tonight. And it just came to my mind then, because we talked about the why and everything, about how to get reductions and all that sort of stuff and get them on at the right price. It's a story there that you can use where you go, don't be Mike and Shelley. Don't follow the data. Don't follow someone's opinion, because that is the worst I've seen for a long time. Really, really bad. And there's a couple of agents doing it left, right, and centre. But anyway, just wanted to share that.
Yeah, it's very common, isn't it? It's very common. I mean, sometimes I think we all get it wrong. Sometimes, don't we? There's no,
Yeah.
You can't get it right every single time, but so many agents do it all the time that that's not acceptable.
You say that, but the way we value in with the data and stuff like that, it's only ever, like I say, it's only ever a market price, not your price. So if the trends change, so if the data's slightly out at the time of the valuation and then the trends are a little bit different as we move forward, if we're in a period of decline, then that's all it is. And ultimately, if it's the other way around, if we're in a period of ascendancy, that's great. They might get a better result than they'd hoped, but you've got to follow the data. Again, I'm taking another one on Monday. It's a beautiful one. Been on at 1.25 million with a certain agency. It's the same agent. I've just realised. And it's on at 1.25 million. She's not had a single viewing in 6-8 weeks. Communication's been awful. She wants to get rid of them straight away. I've gone out to see her, and the price is 900 to a mil. I just think, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Because again, they need to move. So it's people's lives that you're messing with, not just the value of the home and your own ego to get them on the market. Just bugs me.
We've just taken one on. I'm going to it tonight, although they've already given us the go ahead and signed. It's a barn conversion, chaps, and
wow.
It came on with another agent at just under £1 million, and the data has it just over 900. And basically, they came on with this other agent at just under £1 million. We didn't go to value it because we couldn't get out quick enough, so they went on with this other agent who's cheap, and they didn't have a call from that agent for 6 weeks. Then they rang my agent and said, we like the videos that we see stories do. Can you do a video? So they did a video. Obviously, it wasn't as good as ours. They didn't add the video on to the listing, first of all. Then they didn't put it on social media as requested. They then reduced it to 965, silly, ridiculous reduction, and didn't get another call for 6 weeks from that agent. Then the seller called me last week and just said, look, can we just go with you? We're going to give them notice. We're happy to sign. They've signed. I've said, don't pay our upfront marketing fee until the end of the last day of their contract, because they're still on the market with them currently. So that seems fair. I don't want you to be out of pocket. Said, I really appreciate that, but I'll sign your terms now. So we booked in all the marketing. The day it comes off with them, he'll pay our fee, and then we're going straight on at offers over 900. So 10%.
Right, wow, right. It's on at 990 mil.
It's on at 995 originally, dropped to 965. It's coming in at 965. We're going to put it on at offers over 9.
Do you know as well? They'll be kicking themselves.
I know.
They'll be kicking themselves because they could have a sale now by just doing the job properly.
They're immigrating, so they really need to sell. They're really panicking and worried about not selling.
But yeah, again, it's trying to get the motivations of people. I've had a call this week with someone where I'd been recommended to them, and I had a call with the person on the phone, and the tone of the person was awful. I just thought we cannot work together. Some of the things he was saying to me, the questions, it was very abrupt, and I just thought, sometimes his motivation's not quite there, and I just thought, I don't, we're not a good fit. So I kind of managed to get out of it, but I think understanding the motivation of your client is so important. I
went to one. I went to a really nice one. Sorry, mate. I went to a really nice one on Tuesday. It was a barn conversion. And I know, unusual, isn't it?
Do you know in England, did you know there are different types of houses?
What?
Not everything is a barn. Yeah, they're not all barn. Honestly, if you Google semi-detached home and see what you find.
Never heard of it.
No,
You get semi-detached homes. Well, they're not all detached.
No, mate. There's some that are stuck together, and they've got red bricks.
Just for the record, I grew up in a terraced house in Blackpool. So,
oh god, yeah. Listen, I can verify this. Ian is an absolute scumbag. He's from Blackpool. He is like the lowest of the low, common as muck.
Can we just go back to detached barn conversions? So, I went to this barn conversion this week, and they're a divorcing couple. She was lovely. She'd had 3 agents out, called us because she'd seen what we'd done on social, and really, really liked what we did. And throughout the appointment, I was thinking, you don't know our fee. I could tell she was talking as if we were the same price. Thinking, so that I know that question's going to come. That's all. I'll just keep that in the back of my mind. Presented it really well. She absolutely loves what we do. Brilliant. One agent had said 850. One agent had said 1.25. And basically, it's worth $1,050,000, 1.1. Data says that all day long. So that's what I said. And another agent had said the same thing. And I know this other agent, and I know they're not very good, but obviously you've got to act professionally. So presented everything really well. And then we got to the end and she said, so how much do you charge? So I said, well, I gave her the data first of all for how much we achieve compared to other agents. Upfront marketing fee of $750 plus VAT, 2% plus VAT on the complete. Oh, 2%. Yeah. I said, were you expecting us to be the same price as the other agents? And she said, well, I hadn't really thought about it. So anyway, I just went into my usual spiel about no contract tie-in period, only dealing with the mid to higher end. And then I thought, well, what I'm going to do is what I'll do is I'll record a video because he wasn't there, just her. I said, so I'll record a video for you and I'll send it my proposal. So I came straight back to the office, did a 10-minute video for them, talking through the plan as if it was a val because he wasn't there, include it in the proposal. They've opened the proposal once this week and they've only watched 1 minute of the proposal. I thought, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen.
You get that.
So
you get that.
I've sort of written it off really, but it doesn't always go well.
You've said something to me this week, and it resonates with me because I'm having a really good run of meeting some really great people. We're getting recommended a lot. Like yourself, I put myself out there on socials, particularly in the local groups, and share all my lives, share all our reels, share all my actual full videos, and we've done a collaboration on Instagram this week with someone who's got a PR company, and they're very, very, very well connected. And a couple of our posts have got some really good traction and a lot more good followers. It's just been nice to hear the feedback from people, and I think we're getting invited out now on the back of that. And it's just funny what you're saying there. I've done a valuation this week, and she said, I've watched all your videos, I think they're brilliant. And she's on the market with another agent, has been on with 2 before. The pictures are so poor. She's telling me, my pictures are awful. And look at the video, it's awful. He's clearly just done it on a mobile phone, and you can see his hand, and he's pointing, and and it's boring. It is. It's like an 11-minute video walking around the house. Saying there's a light switch over there. If you look over there, there's 2 radiators in this room, so it should heat it really nicely. It's one of those types. And she's telling me all these bad things about the agents that she's working with. And then, I said, well, let's go through what we can do for you. And she was smiling all the way through. And halfway through, I went, you're smiling? What's... I thought she was like laughing at me. And I was like,
your accent?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And I said, hey, you're smiling. What is it? And she said, I know what's coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How much are you? How much are you? And I'm like, well, let me finish, and then we'll... So I finished, and she went, go on, tell me. And what I told her, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe it, I can't pay that. That is... I said, well, you get what you pay for. I went through it all. I do think she'll still come on the market as it happens, but it's funny, isn't it, that people want everything that you do, but they want it so cheap. But I want it for the same.
Yeah. I want to pay you the same as an agent who I think is not as good as you.
Yeah,
that's logical. That makes sense.
Yeah, I want that BMW, but I want to pay the price of Fiesta.
This happened this week to me, just on a nice positive note. By the way, that did sound like the Ian Story and Peter Kay podcast. You sounded just like Peter Kay then.
Really?
So I had a client who called me. This is the property we actually sold yesterday, but we hadn't sold it at that point earlier in the week. and we've done 24 viewings on this property. Okay, it's an apartment in a Grade 2 listed building. So we've actually decided as a company we're not going to sell apartments anymore because they're just an absolute bloody nightmare to sell. But nevertheless, now I've sold it, maybe we will. But we did 24 viewings, and the seller called me, and he's quite a serious guy on the phone. Hello, Ian. It's Mr. Smith. It's like, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, very well, very well. And then, you're thinking, oh, God, he's going to have a go at me here or complain. And he was saying, just calling really just to, see how things are going. I can see you're still sending viewers our way. And I really just wanted to say thank you to you and your whole team. I was like, oh, thanks very much. He said, yeah, I can. He said, I really feel that even though you've done so many viewings and it's not sold, I feel like your team are still keen to sell it for me whenever I speak to them. And I said, oh, thank you very much. I said, they are. Yeah, we never really rest until it sells, and we're always trying to, change things and keep it fresh and lots of stuff. And he said, I'm just calling and say thanks very much. I'd really like you just to inform your team that's how I feel about them. And then he asked a few other questions, but I thought, oh my God, that's really good. No one ever does that. Like, no one ever calls, really, do they? Not really. Until it sells. They never really call. Even when it sells, they don't thank you half the time. But he just didn't. Yeah. So I thought, it's really, really good. So I told the team. And then funnily enough, maybe it's an omen, but funnily enough, it's like 2 days later, we've now sold it.
That is great.
But yeah, isn't that lovely? Yeah.
It's testament to the team. It's great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So again, we get really nice feedback on the team because everybody just works so hard that what I love is when I go and even when it's just a valuation, they say I can tell you're on it because obviously a lot of it's the software. The software will automatically alert them once they have got a the valuation booked, etc., and it'll remind them all the way up to the point of the actual valuation taking place. But they just love the team. Like when a valuation request comes through or a viewing request comes through, I regularly get feedback from the people that I meet who go, I can just tell you're on it. Like the other agent, one of them said it was 4 days before I got a call back for a valuation. So their immediate evaluation,
unbelievable.
So that in their head, they're obviously going, well, if that's a viewer for my property, are they taking 4 days to get back to a viewer? He said, with yours, I sent an email inquiry, and within minutes, you'd call me.
Yeah.
Or I sent it at 11 o'clock at night. At 9:05, you'd called me. Yeah. Or booked it in. Whatever it was. The communication's been spot on, and it's just so important that it's not to be underestimated. You said something last week which I really liked, actually, Ian, and that was the no news call. I do like that. I think because you can just say, obviously, I'm calling, nothing to tell you, but I'm ringing to tell you I've nothing to tell you. So I do like that little strategy that you've developed there. But communication is key on everything. Doesn't matter what you're doing, communication's key. And you've got to keep doing it. We were going to talk about the 4 Ps this week, but we're kind of running out of time because me and you have just started talking in a northern dulcet tones about estate agents, really. If for those listening, James Kendall needed to shoot off at 9:30. He jumped in his car and the signal was terrible and it dropped out ages ago.
I think what I love about this podcast is that we are 3 actual estate agents being estate agents. So we all know what it's like. You sometimes things happen. You just got to go and do it immediately, or you're doing it in your car, or you're doing it as you're taking the kids swimming, or like things happen, don't they? So hopefully, and I know there's plenty of other podcast options, but I don't think there's any that are quite like us, where we're actually real life estate agents
doing it day to day.
Yeah. So although it's quite nice to have a northern version for a week.
Yeah, to be honest, JK brings it down a lot every week, and
he's just got a new car as well, hasn't he? So he's pouncing around in that.
Yeah, got his car. And he can't even get a signal in it. I was supposed to do a Twilight last night. Supposed to do a Twilight shoot, so it was booked in. I got home late from work. I thought I'll just have my tea first, so I cooked myself a nice fillet steak, bit of rice, veg, peppercorn sauce. Lovely it was. Lovely. So I'm sat there having my tea at my breakfast bar, and I'm looking outside.
You got a breakfast bar?
Oh yeah, I've got a breakfast bar, mate. Yeah.
Wow.
It's lovely. It's really nice. It's very nice.
Be so proud of you. Your mum must be so proud of you.
She is. We regularly talk about it. We've got a WhatsApp group, Dave's Breakfast Bar.
Right.
So yes, and then I'm there. I'm just sat eating my tea, and I'm just gazing out the window, and I thought, it's getting dark, and I'm not at the house. And
Oh,
I've
no.
totally misjudged it. I've completely misjudged it. So I've texted my photographer, said, mate, it's getting really dark. And he texted me back saying, yeah, I'm outside. Where are you? I'm like, oh my God, I'm half an hour away.
Oh, no.
So I know. So I jumped in the car, obviously, got all the way over there, arrived. I went, what do you reckon? He went, it's too dark. I
Yeah.
said, great. So I had to leave. So I'm now doing that. I'm now doing that on Saturday night, which will be a great experience. I know. Funny story for me this week. Anyway, mate, we were going to talk about the 4 Ps. Just quickly explain what the 4 Ps are. I think we'll probably save it, but what I was going to suggest we do is just quickly run through it, and then I was going to ask you, we'll pick it up maybe next week, perhaps, like when JK's on properly. Yeah. But I was going to say, because JK can add a lot of value there, and what I was going to say is, just to finish off, obviously we have the TCA group, and we get lots of questions each day for various different challenges that they might be facing. I was just going to ask you, what challenges are you hearing about at the moment? And have you had any yourself? I know we're having a general chit chat, and we've probably covered quite a bit. What you're focusing on at the moment that might just help people listening. So while you're having to think about that, one of the calls I've taken this week is once again about brand split. And I know, listen, we've covered this to death. So if you are listening and you want to go back and have a listen to the mini series, it's all in there, and we regularly cover it. But just again, trying to get into new areas. Do I do it with a new brand, or do I do it with my existing brand? There's never always a straightforward answer, as we've said many a times. You've done it extremely well, and better than anybody I think I've ever seen, actually, with the brand stretch. But you made a decision to cover a certain type of home. And I know you do different types of home, but do it in a certain way. And you've just alluded to something there, without making too much of it, but you're not going to take on apartments anymore. So it's that kind of mentality. I was just going to say, I think in a nutshell, really, for anybody considering that, the conversation I had with one of our members this week was quite quick, and we'll probably get into a bit more detail when we can. But I feel you've got to just make a decision on what you want to cover, where you want to cover, and you've really got to just strip it right back and make sure you look the part. That's the key for me. Just going into you can get into any area. But I just think if someone lands on your website and you're doing lots of apartments, for example, and you want to try and sell 5-bed barn conversions, you are going to struggle, no matter how good your content is and things like that. It's just about trying to get that. So it was just a challenge that had been put to me this week, and I just sort of said, for me, I've not looked at the other brand yet properly, but for me, I do think brand split in that instance is a really good option, and probably an easier one. It does come with its challenges. One of the questions that was put to me was, do you have 2 of everything? 2 Rightmove accounts, 2 Zoopla accounts, 2 accountants, 2 sets of accounts, 2 separate companies and all that? The obvious answer is yes, you do. Yeah. You obviously have to keep it separate. But one thing that you probably can get away with doing, which I think you made the point to JK weeks and weeks ago, was if you are starting a new brand, all your front-facing stuff like your social media, your website, your promotion, etc., everything that people see at the front end could be the new brand that looks sensational. But when it goes on Rightmove, it could, to keep your cash flow safe, go on your other brand, if that makes sense. It could be listed on your other brand temporarily. I think that's the point that you made, isn't it?
Yeah, you're talking to him like he's here, or you're talking to me?
I'm talking to you, because you gave him the advice. Yes, right, that's the advice you gave me. Is that good?
Yeah, that is the advice I gave him. I would urge anyone to do a brand split if they're starting from scratch, because I think it is possible if you can do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's not if you can do it. It's possible to do it.
I think it's the best way. I do think it's the best way.
It's easier, definitely easier. But you do have, easier when you're established. But it's being strict. It's being strict with what you do and what you take on, turning away stuff at the lower end. We now take on properties that we probably wouldn't have taken on when we were first getting going, because I was really strict about growing the mid to higher end. And then as soon as you've nailed the mid to higher end, you can then work your way back a bit. And we now sell a couple of properties that we probably wouldn't have sold. We wouldn't have sold them 4 years ago. But we do now, because we're so strong at the mid to higher end that it doesn't make any difference. And they're good little churners. We've got one at the minute that's 325 grand, so 2%, 6.5 grand fee. They're generally speaking easier to sell. Generally speaking, a first time buyer, so there's not really a chain. So I would urge anyone to do brand stretch. Yeah, and I can help with that. You asked me about challenges and focuses before. So I would say challenges. My challenge has been getting the team to where it is now. But since Meg joined and now Scott's joined, and hopefully this new sales progressor is joining, the team feels to me like it's in a good place and that we've got the right bums on the right seats. Everyone seems to work well together. Me and Aidan take it in turns to do the one-to-ones. So he does it 1 month, I do him the next month. And everyone reported back to Aidan, positively this week that everyone feels like they're fitting together well. I suppose my challenge off the back of that now is ensuring that they stay happy and motivated. We have this week, as you know, I think, did I say it last week? Maybe we are halfway to our target. We're a bit over halfway now to our annual target for the team. And it looks like this back half of the year is going to be better than the first half of the year in terms of completions. So that's good motivationally, financially for them. But obviously, I'm always, I never really criticize them unless something really bad's happened. I rarely criticize, I only really praise. I learned that from a Richard Branson podcast that I listen to. And they know that if they ever need to nip off, for instance, Aidan's little girl had to go to hospital this week. She's fine. She fell over. She's fine. But, he knows that he could just drop everything and go immediately. There's no need to ask me for anything like that. The team know they can just go and do that without having to ask. So it's things like that I want to try and make sure we maintain for the culture. Then in terms of focuses, we are putting in place a marketing plan. So we do loads of marketing, but it's very sporadic, all over the place. Probably my ADHD, but Aidan has told me that we need a plan. So I'm doing what I'm told by Aidan. And we've got a meeting this week. Me, Aidan and Holly. Aidan and Holly have been putting together a plan and they're going to present it next week. And we're going to get something more formal in place for future growth. And then we're moving over to Street, which should happen in the next 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully. And then we're going to get structure in place with processes and systems because I want everything written down. Eventually, if I want to get out of the business or we want to sell it in the future at some point, then it needs to have structure and process written in. We may never sell it, but it won't hurt us, will it, by having that in place?
Yeah.
And Aidan's the best person to coordinate that because he's so good organisationally.
Yeah, I think we've just had one of my recent challenges actually over the last 12 months, since I've lost a couple of really good team members is, as you know, it's been backs to the wall really for everybody in the team, not just me. It's been a really exciting 12 months of growth. It's been fantastic. However, it's not been easy. It's not come easy. And I'm, one of the things for me is obviously we've got lettings as well as high end and resi. So, and we're a small team. So this last week, I've managed to job offer someone on the letting side, which I'm really, really pleased about. She's great. I think she'll integrate really well with the team. She's going to be full time on lettings, and it's just going to free up so much time for a couple of the team members in the office, Kate and Pauline, who can, get involved in all the more exciting stuff moving forward and help growth. So that's been a challenge that I've had to be patient with. I couldn't do it just from day one when I lost the two members. It was something where I had to restructure a little bit, really take a look at what we were doing, the brand wise, and how we're presenting, all that sort of stuff. And I just made some tough decisions about 12 months ago, and I knew it was going to be tough, and it has been, but it's been so worth it. So I think one thing I would say to people is resilience, positive attitude, resilience, be part of a community as well. Don't suffer in silence. Again, I'm very fortunate to have some brilliant team members who I can vent to and discuss things with. And obviously I've got you guys and we've got the TCA group. It's just so nice to be part of that type of network, isn't it? Where you're not just, carrying the burden all by yourself. Because it's a lonely place. It can be a really lonely place, particularly if you're self-employed or you don't have a big team, and you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Which probably leads nicely into a bit of a plug for the TCA. Go for it, Story. You're great at this.
Yeah, so we're looking for new members, aren't we? And for people that don't know, we offer postcode exclusivity. So you wouldn't be in the group with a competing agent in your postcodes. We have a monthly Zoom, which I think is really, really excellent value add for everyone. So everyone has the opportunity to join the monthly Zoom, obviously every month, where they share any concerns and we help to answer any questions that they have. And another great thing I think about Complete Agent is that the three of us, you, me and JK, are in different geographical areas of the country. So we're in different markets, different challenges, therefore present, but we still all, have great average fees, upfront marketing fees now, and lots of other things that we can share. Our next mastermind is in about 6 weeks, I think.
September.
In Manchester, right near Piccadilly Station. So obviously, if you were able to join before then, you could come to that. And the members' reaction from that last time was just unbelievable, wasn't it? What people got out of that. And the main sort of thing that we provide is access via our letters, access into these amazing homes that the three of us and our members sell. So there's lots and lots of benefits, and we believe it's extremely good value at $497 a month for the properties that you get into. It's extremely good value, and we'd love a conversation with anyone who thinks we can help them.
I think as well, Ian, obviously it's developed into a little bit more than what we probably envisaged originally, because we love it as well. It's just nice to help people, and I think we've done some impromptu Zoom calls with individuals and take calls from individuals to help them on their journey. I exchanged a couple of voice notes with someone last night on my way home, which was nice, just helping them solve a problem. So again, it's just nice for people to be able to reach out and get the support they need. And I think obviously the three of us, we talk every single day on our own little WhatsApp group, and it's JK sharing his wins over the last few weeks. He's good at that, and I really enjoy it, and it keeps me motivated. And same with yourself, when you brag about these barns that you're at. I do like your posts. Ian always puts in our group. He'll basically post a picture of an enormous property with his Range Rover sat outside, and he says, "I hate my job." But honestly,
that house this week, that was her Range Rover.
Well, was it? Fair enough. But no, it's nice. I have a smile on my face, and I then think, what, it is a great job that we do. It's a very rewarding job, and particularly once you get some traction in this mid to high end space, and you're doing all these great houses, it's such a nice place to be.
Yeah, let's not just now you've said that you're quite right, but let's not forget the 7 days a week that we've all working on holidays. 5 a.m. sending proposals. The amount of sales I negotiated around the pool in Spain for the last 4 years because we didn't have a team that could do it. So it's great where we are now, but we've absolutely broken our backs to get to where we are.
Yeah, and by the way, continue to do so.
Yeah, well, I know.
Every day is a long day, but you've got to enjoy what you do. But what I'm saying is, I guess the group that we've had before we even set up the TCA, the three of us, what a great support network it's been, isn't it? Having that, like I say, it's nice to share your wins. And JK even yesterday in the group was sharing some of his frustrations, and it's just nice to be able to talk to each other about that. And you can quickly move on. And I think again, the TCA more than anything, I think that's what it offers. Obviously, you get your lead gen, your socials, access to other great agents, access to myself, Ian, and JK. But the community spirit that's within it, I think. Non-compete is a big plus.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about it and any of this resonates with you, please do get in touch with either myself, Ian, JK, Aidan. We'd love to talk.
Mm-hmm. Well, good.
Right, mate.
Nearly an hour. I think we've done pretty well there with that.
Yeah. So obviously JK struggled with his signal this week, and I know he's at I think he's at a take on anyway this morning. So we've missed you this week, JK. Hopefully you'll be back next week. We'll do the podcast that was probably properly intended, because I think JK will add a lot of value there. So until next week, thank you everybody for listening. Ian, have a great day.
You too, mate.
Catch you soon. Take care, guys.
Bye.